I tried Disney Secret Project.
Secret labs inside to see something really, really cool. I got to visit some of the secret labs inside of the Walt Disney Company called the Disney Imagineering Labs. So, I've seen some people talk about them a little bit before, but obviously Disney has all these attractions and theme parks and rides, and somebody has to design and engineer all that stuff. And there's a surprising amount of tech that goes into it. And some of it
Chat, you know what?
still
Chat, here's a hot take. It's not even a hot take. Chat, if you've been to Disneyland or whatever, their new go-kart, Mario Kart thing is just not good. There's a big engineering oversight. It seems like there's a big just overall design oversight. It's just, at Universal Studios, whatever. It's just not fun.
Experimental and unreleased, where no one outside of Disney,
well,
except for me now.
It almost felt like they were probably trying a thing, and then it's like they were too far to go back, and they just decided to release it because it's just not good.
Now has gotten to use them. This thing is so cool. So Disney Imagineering has a bunch of these buildings scattered around this California neighborhood that I got to visit, where they make realistic animatronic robots as part of their attractions. They literally greeted me at the door with these little droids, the same ones that are roaming around the theme parks. And these things have a striking amount of similarities to the Boston Dynamics Spot robot that I got to play with a few years ago. That Spot robot was able to navigate any terrain with an adaptive gait, and it followed instructions from a custom but surprisingly easy to learn controller so that it could navigate around and do jobs that humans won't, and is also super fun to play with. These little droids for the theme parks are a lot of the same stuff. They are able to adapt to any terrain. They walk around, they follow instructions from a customized Steam Deck as the controller, which took me like 60 seconds to learn. And they can navigate around relentlessly all day, interacting with guests at a theme park and being fun to play with. It was super fun. And it's also seriously crazy how much tech is even inside one of these things. It's blending all these animations together from the walking to
are those
the
there right now? If you go to the parks?
It's pretty cool, but that's not even what I was there to try.
I feel like kids are really fucking stupid. I think they kick those.
I was there specifically to be the first person outside of Disney to walk on the HoloTile. So, you might have seen some videos about this, the HoloTile. It's this insane one-of-one 360-degree treadmill, like a moving floor, basically. It's still in an experimental phase, and this is the only one that exists, but it's already got these gears turning in my head about future potential applications, particularly in VR, and actually one specific thing that I have reservations about. But I'll get to that in a minute. Now, I don't know that anyone's actually fully explained exactly how this thing works yet, but you can see that they're basically walking across a huge number of these tiny 1-inch discs that are spinning on top of their bases like a bunch of tiny treadmills, and then turning to match the direction that you're walking. So obviously a normal treadmill is one direction, right? Just one flat plane moving forward and spinning around, so you always know exactly where you're going. But let's say you want to build a treadmill that's responsive and can go in any direction. Well, a flat treadmill, it would be really hard, right? It would have to spin around quickly to match whatever direction you're walking, which is just kind of insane.
So this with VR sounds insane, by the way.
Built into the floor is a bunch of articulating cones with discs on top of them with motors inside to spin those discs. Okay, and then the key here is the discs are tilted, so only the edge of the disc in the air is the part that's actually touching what's on the floor. So it's less of a flat treadmill and more of a bunch of small blades that are rotating under your feet. So when you walk forward, they spin clockwise to move your foot back to the middle once it's landed. And actually, when you walk backwards, they spin counterclockwise to move your foot back to the middle.
But the feel must be weird, though, no?
Whatever direction you walk, no matter how long or how fast your stride is, it'll always pull you right back to the middle. So I've seen these videos that Disney's put out of this guy walking on it, but we got to work our way up to that. I've never walked on it before, and it's capable of some other things. So let's graduate. Let's get there.
Like, as if you're moving diagonally, your body feels I'm moving diagonally. But the feel of your body feels like you're moving the other direction.
So there are 3 ways to control this thing. There's walking on it, obviously, but there's also using a controller, like a PlayStation 5 controller. And there's also just straight up using the Force and just pointing at it with your hands. Let's start there. So first we put this Apple box on the HoloTile. And there's a screen up here that shows in real time all of the inputs and what the sensors are seeing both on the floor and around the floor. and they've actually mapped anything that crosses a certain line in front of me to move whatever object is on the floor. So when I move my hand in front of that line, the program moves the floor around to match the movement of the object with the movement of my hand. And this is pretty sick. I assume everyone watching this has seen Star Wars and realizes how dope it would be to have something like this in some sort of Star Wars experience in a theme park. So it's already super cool. But then the first time I actually get on the HoloTile myself is in a chair and with a PlayStation controller. So I am going to be in a chair where the chair is on a piece of wood, so it's just flat bottom.
What's that saying fake? What?
And then they just handed me the PlayStation controller. And, well, see for yourself.
Bro, who's saying fake? Brother, you sound like a fucking, like a tinfoil hat. They explain technology, you can literally see in real time, and you're saying fake what?
So the left joystick is mapped to control position.
Dude!
And the right joystick.
Imagine you make a big one of these, and you put a prop car with like people that are going to Disney or whatever, and the whole family's in the car, and you can drive the car, and the whole room like 3D. All of the things you're seeing are adapting to where you're going.
Controls rotation. So you can spin around and move around freely.
And
actually,
is that kind of insane?
Pretty used to this thing. And if you're wondering, yes, I can steer myself completely off of the floor. It would let me. I was just kind of trying to be careful to not fling myself off the edge. But it moves so fast. So now after all that, now that I've experienced how it moves, now they're going to let me walk on the HoloTile. All right, so I'm going to start with training mode, which is a fraction of the normal speed, but will still get me used to how this works. So, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, enable.
Yeah, I'll go get it in a minute.
Mode is on.
Jesse.
So now, slowly start to walk. I can feel them kind of wiggling a little bit, but not really moving too quickly yet. So this is normal. Oh, okay, now.
Did that thing was signed for this shit? Hold on.
Starting to move with the tiles. There we go. So walking on this, I noticed a couple things. First of all, as you've heard through this video, it's pretty loud. Like, this is going to be something they definitely are going to want to work on, especially if it's something that'll be a part of a theme park someday, or maybe even in someone's home. But also, I found it fascinating. You're never actually quite walking in a perfectly straight line. Like, it can feel pretty close.
Rewind it? Okay. Jesse, why'd you buy me a PS5? Is there a game coming out on the PS5 or what?
I'm getting more used to the feeling of the tiles. So they designed this to be about a 2-minute process, as these tiny tiles
I'll have a PS5 anyway. I don't think I'll play that again.
their responsiveness to my movements. And it was slowly turned up more and more, basically until it was at 100% real time. It's moving pretty close to full speed now, feels like.
2 years XQCL.
And there's obviously a learning curve, but I feel like I'm good enough at it that I can kind of walk around and not think too hard. It's good. And then there's all the data behind me in real time, showing my feet, my legs.
27.
So walking on this, I noticed a couple things. First of all, as you've heard through this video, it's pretty loud. Like, this is going to be something they definitely are going to want to work on, especially if it's something that'll be a part of a theme park someday, or maybe even in someone's home. But also, I found it fascinating. You're never actually quite walking in a perfectly straight line. Like, it can feel pretty close if your foot happens to line up along a row of discs that are all aligned in a way from the center. But other times, you're just kind of gliding over the top of a bunch of these ridges, and you're not moving in a perfectly straight line. I imagine a future version of this looks like a whole bunch of much smaller and more numerous discs that are just as powerful as they are, which is clearly an engineer.
Oh, because your feet, you do left, right, left, right. So then when you're left, you glide diagonally, when you're right diagonally, and you stay straight, but you're moving in both opposite directions diagonally.
So, yeah, this takes some getting used to. I know that because I got to hang out with the inventor of the HoloTile, Lanny Smoot. He's been at Disney for more than 20 years. He's
it
got more
looks
than
like
70 patents, including the way the BB-8 rolls around the park,
Sessa.
the real-life lightsabers, just to name a few. He's kind of a legend. And yeah, this guy's incredible on it. He was showing me that you can have 2 people on it at once. They were playing a multiplayer racing game, like controlling a BB-8 around a course by jogging around. And it seemed to work pretty well, aside from being pretty small. Obviously, this would work better if they had more of these floor tiles. But then what I found the most crazy is using this floor with a VR
44
headset on.
months, Pog.
So this is what you would expect it to be for VR, right? And there's been some other 360-degree treadmill type of videos I've seen, other types of inventions used for VR. And they work, but the one thing that's hard about these, and it's hard to explain through video, but the difference between what your eyes see and what your body and brain feel.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
That disagreement. So meaning like...
Yeah, but if you have a disagreement with what you're seeing, the way you're touching and moving, and then your feet, the way your body's going, brother, it's so much shit.
This has always been true.
So much.
If you look down at your phone a lot in a
Guys,
moving
it's like having desync with all your senses. Everything's on desync.
car,
Like,
right?
it's just really bad.
Your eyes are seeing something still. They
friend.
see your body sitting still, but then your brain and your inner ear feels you moving around, moving
35
forward.
months log
And so
for
the
stream
disagreement
being
between what
following
your
since
eyes see
2017.
and what your brain feel, that's what can give you motion sickness. That's what feels bad. And so if you think about it, it's the same thing with this moving treadmill in VR. You put the headset on and you start walking, and your eyes see that you are walking down a moving hallway. You're moving forward, but your brain, because you're walking in place, doesn't feel that it's supposed to be moving forward. So again, there's a disagreement there. So with the HoloTile, I got to try putting on an Apple Vision Pro
It's like playing
and
Tarkov.
actually walking around a 3D constructed environment. You can't see it, but I'm in like a holodeck in Star Trek or something. And I've got a harness on because it turns out this is really hard. My eyes see the movement and my legs are trying to walk forward and my feet are sliding around, but my brain thinks I'm not supposed to be moving forward. So it's confusing. It's hard to just trust it and walk. Plus there's the extra layer of sometimes it moves you backwards a little bit to the center. So I was taking all these baby steps. Meanwhile though, watch Lanny do it and he's just incredible at it. Like he had the headset on, he was walking around confidently through space, exploring a virtual world. Pretty sure it's like a virtual Disney theme park type of thing, but that's the type of thing that feels the most like the future. Just free form, exploring some huge space, walking around in the comfort of your own home maybe, and that would be amazing. And if this thing can continue to be developed, maybe, just maybe, it can get us closer to that reality someday. Either way, that is definitely...
Yeah, it feels to me like the real step, the big step forward is when you can do whatever you want, like running or whatever. I think if there's limitations of what you can do.
Can get us closer to that reality.
I mean, it's
someday.
just
Either way,
trash.
that is definitely dope tech. I'm glad I got to see the first version of this, and I'm very curious and excited to see future versions. Disney, please invite me back. I wanna
What
see
I'm saying is
the
that
future of this-
it's like different chat, and if people that play VR will know this. Playing in a room that isn't big enough for your VR setup, what you feel playing, you're always kind of like, you're never going, you're always going, and you're checking your limits, not to fucking hit anything, right? And if you have to do that with your feet and on moving, and you're like, oh, I can't run or I can't jump because I'm gonna be off the tiles or whatever the fuck, and it makes things very unfun. That's why when you have a big room and you can play VR, it's like a million times more fun when you have a big room to play VR than other constraints. Because you're always in your play zone and shit like that, and you're always like, oh fuck, my play zone. It's annoying as fuck.
W.
Imagine typing question mark when you don't play VR. Like, stop it. Stop question mark everything. You don't do it. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Shut up. No, I'm gonna get mad, chat. Stop with the fuck now today, man.